Hey guys, how's it going? It's 8-Bit Eric. Today we're going to talk about the Amico once again. Yep, we're beating that dead horse, right? I'm just joking. Anyways, I really haven't touched about it. You know, the last 3 years that people have been talking about the Intellivision Amico, kind of kept a silence about it. Now I wanted to kind of give my thoughts about it because it is starting to be a trending topic, and that's the beauty of freedom of speech. I have every right to make a video about anything I want, but this one I sat down and took the time, really wanted to discuss today's topic, which is the Amico commandments of game design. So when the Intellivision Amico was first conceived, Tommy Tallarico, who was the CEO at the time, did an extensive interview, campaign where he was going on different podcast and YouTube channels and video game websites such as like VGC and Review Tech USA and a few other channels and websites that are just nameless. I mean, he went on a campaign. He was putting the hustle, the grind, which props to him. Initially, I was like, wow, you know, he's very hands-on with the product. He's pretty passionate when it comes to the message that they were trying to make with the Amico, and that was at the time that the Amico was specifically aimed at families, that every game in its library, the whole entire ecosystem would revolve around safe, family-friendly gaming, which is kind of a new concept. You know, it's different from what you generally see like on Microsoft or Sony or even at times Nintendo. So he had basically like a mission statement, a set of guidelines and criteria that every game in the Amico library would have to meet. And it was known as the commandment. So let's go ahead and take a look at a tweet real quick that he did at the time. This is all kind of old news. I know somebody's going to go, really? You're talking about something from October 2019? Trust me, it goes along with what I'm trying to talk about today. So this is from Tommy back October 2019. Seems so long ago, right? So this is the Intellivision Amico 10 Commandments of Game Design. And we'll go through this real quick. So Commandment 1 is every game must be rated E or E10 plus. I can understand where he's going with this, but in the grander scheme of things, just because some games aren't rated that doesn't mean that it's not a family-friendly console. And this is where things started to get kind of nuts with Tommy. So he went on to say that people that like Nintendo and violence and that are judging the Amico, basically. I'm kind of like freestyling here and paraphrasing it, but he went on a wild tangent saying people were gaming racist if they had a problem with Amico wanting to keep their games to like E10. I have no idea. I have to go back and watch the Review Tech USA interview. It's been quite some time, but it was just outlandish. Like, if you're thinking this sounds outlandish right now, it literally came out of nowhere. And honestly, I don't see a problem with games being a higher rating than that if you have a clear-cut rating system. That's what the ESRB's for. And sure, parents ignore it. Parents, you know, buy their kids Mortal Kombat and stuff without thinking or looking at the rating system. You know, it's been happening for years, for decades. But that ESRB is there, and it's a safe way of assuring parents that the content is properly labeled and rated. But it's their prerogative. It's Intellivision's prerogative to decide that all games will be safe. But the problem that I had with that was where he basically said, Nintendo, if you're a fan of rape in your video games, go buy a Switch. And that line has always silently bugged me. Always silently bugged me. And it's like, why did he have to be that harsh against a company that clearly rates their games according to the ESRB? Or the PEGI system that's over there in the United Kingdom or Europe or whatever. Nintendo is following proper guidelines and proper protocol, and they're not attacking you. Nintendo ain't attacking you. People have every right to make an opinion about your games and what they're going to be rated as and give criticism and feedback. As a company out there putting a product for people to consume, they have every right. And he just seemed to get angry about people making comments about whether that idea of the games having to be family friendly would be a success or not. And I never understood that. Anyways, continuing on, let's look at the thing. The next one is every game must be easily playable without the need for complicated or long instructions. I don't have a problem with number 2. To be honest, at times there are games that I've played where I'm like, Jesus Christ, like you're literally following a tutorial and tapping A for like a half hour, and it's just pausing every 5 fucking seconds, and it's like, oh my God, just let me play the game. I get it. Now, with the games that we have coming out on the Amico, of course, there shouldn't be much complicated instructions or any kind of like huge tutorials. They're literally all, I guess, modern versions of older Intellivision games or older arcade style games. So number 2, no issue with me. That's fine. Going on to number 3, we have every game must be balanced to allow players with very different ability levels to still have fun. Again, that one is not too big of a deal. That one, it's just let them talk. Just let them have their mantra. I think that's subjective, to be honest, because there's games that I'm very good at that are complicated, and then there's games that are simple that I just can't get into, and it's just, I don't know. It's subjective. Your gamer ability is subjective. Not everybody's going to play a game and have it as accessible or not. That's why there's skill levels. That's why there's easy, novice, normal, advanced, pro, whatever you want to call it in the game. Lots of real good games out there have different methods of allowing people to pick up and play. The best one I could think of right now, actually, is Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. You can actually have players play as Nabbit or Toadette if they're inexperienced. And it's awesome because it's a 4-player simultaneous game. So I've been playing Mario Brothers my whole life. So I could be Mario, Luigi, or even Peach and play the game. And then my niece, who's 5 years old, can play as Nabbit. She can die and respawn and not get hurt and enjoy the game just as much as me. So that's something as simple as making adjustments that it could be different for every player. So to enforce that every game must be balanced to allow players with different ability levels to still have fun, I think that's overcomplicating. You know, the idea of the Amico was to make things simple, to make them simplified for people to play. But that, I think, is kind of a commandment that kind of gets in the way of a natural feeling of game design, where you want to make the game feel natural. At least, you know, a well-balanced game, you don't have to think about the difficulty levels because the way the options and the skill levels and stuff could be made different for everybody. Especially with the Amico, they want to enforce the local co-op. So like, why should me as an advanced gamer have to handicap myself and my enjoyment and my fun for somebody else when they could have their own setting and it will just kind of equal out, like what Super Mario Brothers Deluxe does on the Switch. So, continuing on, the next one right here, every game must rate 7 out of 10 or above on Intellivision's quality control scale. Now, this is probably the one that I think is the most tomfoolery of them all. So, people tend to get the Nintendo official seal of quality mixed up with meaning it's a good game. Lots of times when a bad game comes out, I always hear, and I made a video about this a while ago, people go, "What happened to the Nintendo seal of quality, man? Why are all these shovelware games coming up on the Switch and on the systems? The seal of quality means the games used to be good." No, it never meant. Let's be honest. The Nintendo Entertainment System had a lot of fucking crap titles. That's why channels like Angry Video Game Nerd got made, because he covered all of the horrible like LJN titles and video games of the past. The seal of quality didn't mean a game was good. A seal of quality on any console, the Sega Genesis license, the little gold medallion they had, all it means is that it's an official licensed product. That's all it ever meant. It never meant a game would be good. So for Intellivision to come out with a quality control scale 7 out of 10. I gotta bless their heart real quick. Nothing against that. You want games to be good on your console. They were promoting, I think at the time back in 2019, that there would be no shovelware in the game. And trust me, if there's anybody that knows shovelware, it's me. If you've seen my Switch Let's Plays and my Switch reviews, I mean, I played Pooplers, for cripe's sakes, on the Nintendo Switch and reviewed it. I played these word puzzle games and all that. A 7 out of 10 is very subjective. What your 7 out of 10 is might be a 4 out of 10 for me. So who's basing a 7 out of 10? Is it Tommy Tallarico? His video game scale of 7 to 10? Is it John Alvarado's? Is it the collective bunch? Are they sitting around a conference table and voting whether a game meets a 7 out of 10 on the scale? Because some of those games they've shown on the deep dives don't look like 7 out of 10s to a lot of people. I'm just saying. So that one is a little bit subjective and kind of, again, overly complicating things. If it's supposed to be a simple family system, why do you have to hold it to that? I get it. You don't want shovelware in your thing, but your sense of shovelware, your sense of a 7 is different than what everybody else's. And why would you limit that? That dissuades programmers or developers from putting games on your console. If I was a developer, I'd be like, well, fuck. They're going to say my game ain't good. I'll just put it on the Switch where it will be put on it and get seen by more eyeballs, right? I mean, Pooplers, by this standard, Pooplers is going to make more money being on the Nintendo Switch because it's not limited to being an E or E10 plus title. It doesn't have to meet a 7 out of 10 scale that only Intellivision could come up with. It doesn't have to be, I guess, forced, lack of controls, or it has to be a pick up and play game. Like, honestly, a lot of these commandments limit developers from putting their games on the Amico because it's just overly complicated for something that's supposed to be simple. Like, if I was a developer, I would be like, I'm not going to put my game on that. I got to listen to all this weird criteria that is very subjective. It doesn't make sense. Now, every game must cost less than $10. I'm okay with that, but we already know with the introduction of Phil Adams as the new CEO, number 5 no longer is in the equation. This is no longer 10 commandments. It's 9 now, because now every game is not going to cost less than $10. In fact, they're upscaling the price. They actually said, I think, up to like $20-$30. They're going to be putting new games, especially if they're third parties, which we're going to get into that again with another commandment. But now, number 5 commandment is right out the window. Doesn't even matter anymore. Now, continuing on, we got number 6. Every game must support the official Intellivision controllers. Now, I get it with number 6. I really do. Especially, playing some Switch games in the past. You have no idea how pissed off I get if there's not a Switch game that doesn't have Pro Controller support. I've played many games that force tablet mode or Joy-Con mode on you. And I'm like, why the hell is there no Pro Controller support for this game? I get it. It must support the Intellivision controller, the official Intellivision controller. But the problem here is there's no other alternatives on the Amico except for, like, I think Jackbox Games has the ability to use your phone for the Amico. Did I hear that right? I think I heard that on a review tech video not too long ago. If I'm wrong on that, correct me, please. But there's no controller alternatives. Is there even like a, I guess, standard controller with a D-pad and anything for the Intellivision Amico, or are we forced with the touchscreen controller, which still looks cool, but I've never touched one, so I don't know how well it works or anything like that. But again, that's kind of overly complicating things, in my opinion, especially for a game like Tic-Tac-Toe or Pin the Tail on the Donkey, or any kind of like basic title that you could think of coming to the Nintendo Switch, the Intellivision Amico. I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying Nintendo Switch. But if I was a developer and I was making a really basic game, do I really need to force the abilities of the Intellivision controller? Like, do I have to have the touchscreen and the lights for my game? Like, what if my game was, I don't know, let's say a game called Birthday Cake Candle Blowout, and it's a game where a new cake comes in front of you, and you have to blow the candles out ASAP by pushing like a button combination or something. So let's say a cake comes up and I have to push like up, up, down, down, right, right, like almost like a DDR, but with birthday cake candles. Boom, goes away, right? Next cake, different button combination. Next cake, different button combination. Do I have to overcomplicate a game that is just doing directional buttons like up, down, down, left, right, whatever? Do I have to overcomplicate it by adding touchscreen stuff? I don't know. I wouldn't. I would still. This would turn me off from being a developer of putting it on the Amico. Now, the next game commandment is every game must be 2D or 2.5D. 3D models are okay, but no free roaming 3D worlds. This is a mistake right here, in my opinion. Solely because one of the greatest Intellivision games of all time is B-17 Bomber. And if you don't know, B-17 Bomber, and I should have had this pulled up, B-17 Bomber on the Intellivision is actually a 3D game. And it's an open world game. So,
Mattel Electronics presents
one of the greatest video games of all time on the Intellivision cannot be featured on it because it features an open world map. And on top of that, it features a quote-unquote 3D environment. Yeah, it didn't age that great. But if you look at it, that's 3D. And that's an open world map. And there's a lot of things that you could do in the game. Let's look at that.
Fighters 6 o'clock.
So, B-17 Bomber, a classic franchise for the Intellivision, is not allowed to be on it. At least as the way that we knew it. They couldn't do an updated version of it because it's 3D. Now it says 3D models are okay, according to this. Sorry, as I click everywhere except my tab. So according to this, 3D models are okay, but no free roaming 3D worlds. Again, I think that's just... its intent is to keep things simple for the consumer, but at the same time, it's keeping things complicated for developers. I'm trying to be as fair as here. I'm just looking at it through a lens. And this is why it's like, I get it. It's admirable. I get it. You want things to be simple, but to the casual consumer, they want to see 3D graphics. They want to see big worlds. You could fake it till you make it. You could make a world look big without it actually being big. A perfect example of this, Skyward Sword. It didn't have a big, huge open world Zelda map like even Ocarina of Time did. It had areas that were open world, like the forest, the Death Mountain area, and you know what I mean? But overall, it didn't have a huge open sprawling world. So you could have faked at least a 3D open world game and with 3D models and still keep it kind of simple. It just baffles me. Like I don't understand that one. Now, every game must be an Intellivision exclusive. Even ports must be unique in some way. Now, this one's gone. Number 8 commandment must be Intellivision exclusive or unique in some way. That's gone. Now, the Intellivision CEO, the new one, Phil Adams, actually suggested that they're going to be putting more money into the content and the software, that they're going to be paying licensing fees, licensed titles, and games that are considered AAA titles for the Intellivision Amico will be going at a higher price point. So they abandoned the less than $10, that every game must be $10 or less, and they're now going to be picking up third-party games, and also publishing the games on third-party platforms, which we'll talk about that here in a minute, because there's a Reddit post, which is the main reason why I wanted to make this long-winded video, which if you're still watching, I appreciate it. So let's go right here real quick. So this is a Reddit post on the Intellivision Amico Reddit. It says, microtransactions are evil, but we'll be offering them. All Amico games are exclusive except the ones we port to other systems. So this is a screenshot right here. I'm going to go ahead and separate it right here. So this says, Joseph, first let me explain some of the planned revenue sources that will provide a bit more clarity on how to interpret the validation of an addressable market. We obviously have our core Amico console and associated games as well as related accessories. So that's saying, you know, like their first party stuff, the stuff that's targeted towards the casual family market. According to this, so I guess cornhole, stuff like that, especially those wanting to provide a safe and responsible gaming experience for the family. We also have a segment of games and third-party IP that will be offered on the Amico platform, but will also be published on third-party platforms. So right here, they're confirming segment of games and third-party IP that will not just be on the Amico, but also on third-party platforms. So now, I guess Commandment 8 is out the window, because that doesn't sound like exclusive to me. Maybe I'm looking into that a little bit too much, but for the last 3 years they wanted everything exclusive or some kind of a unique thing, and now they're just throwing that out the window, which I feel is a little too late. They probably missed out on a lot of developers and a lot of games coming to the console because of 8 being enforced on top of it. But the next one, no in-game purchasing or DLC. And this one, in hindsight, I could get behind, but I'm not completely against DLC. I'm not completely against microtransactions within reason. So when I say within reason, let's take a game like Fortnite, for example. Fucking awesome game. Has a lot of skins. The shop is literally cosmetics. I'm okay with it though, because none of it is pay to win. None of it is like, if you own this gun, if you own this character, you get a unfair gaming advantage. I love Call of Duty, but let's be honest here, some of the stuff that you buy in there does have a competitive advantage. Some of the blueprints do better than other guns and stuff, but Fortnite is purely cosmetics. Purely cosmetics. I'm not against that, because there's no competitive advantage. It's just stuff that looks shiny and cool. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's getting a brand new expansion through the Switch Online service. Brand new tracks coming. I'm okay with that. That's like essentially an expansion. Elder Scrolls Online, I'm fine with, some of the expansions that they throw on there. I'm okay with DLC for the most part. I can also agree that it's nice to see that a company was going to be making efforts to not have DLC, to have finished games, to have completed games. But here's the problem, and I wish I had my games with me right here. The Amico games aren't even actual physical games, so why does it matter if they have patches or not? They're little QR cards or something that you're going to swipe? So it's like, they're not an actual physical game, so you're complicating something that doesn't need to be complicated. I'm not trying to say it's okay to release unfinished games, and by all means, go ahead and stick with your commandments, more power to you. But this day and age, it's almost expected that a game gets patched up. And I guarantee you some of these games are going to get patched up anyway, because that's just the norm. Especially if, I don't know, it's just... But the main reason why I'm pointing out this number 9 is that, back to this, we're throwing number 9 out the window, because he says, in addition, we will be offering specific versions of certain games on mobile that will support common revenue models such as in-game microtransactions. The part of this broader revenue strategy that is important to clarify is that the core Amico console platform will not deviate from the family gaming ethos that we have established. So they're saying the Amico console platform is still going to have a family gaming ethos, that it's going to I guess, stick by the commandment still. There's not going to be microtransactions on the Amico. But this is where the, I guess, funny, sassy title right here comes into play. Except the ones we port to other systems. So, Intellivision Amico apparently is against microtransactions, except when they're porting that game to a different console. And this is where I have the fucking problem. If you remember Tommy's rant against Nintendo and against gaming racist and against how all the other companies are doing things so badly that's why they're making the 10 Commandments and that's why they're sticking their guns in this, I guess, you know, they're sticking to their guns. They were adamant about these commandments being solely to their console. Solely to it. No budging. You know, no games could be even a teen or a rated M. The games have to have a local. That's number 10 is they have to have local multiplayer enforced on it. They have to have no DLC. They have to have a certain price less than $10. They have to have a quality scale of 7 out of 10. They have to be balanced to allow players. But evidently, they're throwing it all the fucking window when they say that if it's being ported over onto mobile or other platforms, they're going to have microtransactions on it. They're not going to be compatible with the Intellivision controller, obviously, on mobile. They're not going to be exclusive anymore. So that's like, what, 3 or 4 fucking of the 10 Commandments already fucked up? Let's look at it again. So, none of these commandments matter anymore. They're pointless. They should just get rid of them. Like, my point is, the games that are going to be ported over to third-party platforms such as mobile, maybe even Nintendo Switch, if that happens, I bet you it will. They don't have to follow any of this anymore. So you're going to have worse versions of these games on the Amico itself. Because the Intellivision quality control scale don't fucking matter on mobile, so that's one that's gone. Every game must cost less than $10. Number 5 is gone. Every game must support the official Intellivision controllers. Number 6 is gone. Every game must be an Intellivision exclusive. Number 8's gone. No in-game purchasing or DLC. That's gone. And with a mobile game, every game must incorporate local multiplayer couch co-op versus. That's gone. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like 6 of their commandments gone. Officially now, because of the new CEO and because they're going to be porting games over to mobile. So you're going to have, I don't know, let's throw a random game out there. Brain Duel on mobile or Brain Duel on Amico. One will have microtransactions and all this, and one will be family friendly. I don't know. It's like they're contradicting themselves and making things complicated. And I feel a lot of the issues with it being complicated were because of these 10 Commandments. And now they're throwing them away 3 years later when I think they should have just never had them to begin with, is my point of this long-winded video. So, yeah, I guess nothing that they promised out of these commandments came true. And literally everything, I guess, now they're going to have ports. They said they're going to AAA games. I can't think of many AAA games that are rated E. You know, and you can have like a rated E version of Resident Evil on your fucking console. I don't know. This is out the window, guys. The Intellivision 10 Commandments of game design are out the window. I guess with Tommy no longer being CEO, they don't want to deal with it anymore. And honestly, it's a little too late. I think they should have did this a long time ago because those commandments were hurting the console in the long run, especially when they're going on these weird rants against other companies and stuff. And in the end, they had to get rid of it anyway. So what was the point of having it? I don't know. Anyways, just kind of wanted to talk about this. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, guys, for watching as always. Take care.